लंच प्रेजेंट कर ले रहे,
एब्स्ट्रैक्ट प्रेजेंट कर ले रहा हूँ।
खाली पेपर दे दी। चलते क्या आज एक दिन चलो जल्दी कुछ बना होता, जल्दी चलो कुछ बना होता। वरना पहले खाने के होते चलो चलो खाने दिन होते कैसे चलो जाएंगे जल्दी।
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
लोगों से कोई भी नहीं है।
Hello.
Yes, madam, you are audible. You are audible.
It's audible. Should I start the
Yes.
presentation?
No, no, please just wait. We are starting.
Okay.
Once we start, we will give you a chance.
देखो जब से
Slideshow. Yes. আচ্ছা এটা আমাদের বলে পুরোটা দেখাবে না, দেখো তো কোনখানটায় বসো এই জায়গাটা দাঁড়াও স্টার্ট হয়েছে তো যদি না শুনতে পায় তখন
Now I deem it a privilege to invite our Vice Principal, Srimati S. Radhika Madam, and also the Director of this National Seminar onto the dais. I request Dr. K. Alivelu Madam, Dean, Division for Graduate Studies, Center for Economics and Social Studies, Hyderabad, onto the dais. Oh. Now I request Radhika madam to just address the participants.
Good afternoon, all the delegates present here, and
मोबाइल पे कुछ है अमा मोबाइल पे
good afternoon, all the delegates present here for the second session of the national seminar on new education policy. Sound రావట్లేదు. So we have entered into the next session, the technical session. We have about 128 paper presentations with us, and we are expecting it to be a very lively session for the first technical session, to be a lively session for today's session. So we will go ahead, as we are late starting the session, we will go ahead starting the session. And we welcome all the participants participating online, and we wish you all the best for your active participation.
Thank you, ma'am, for your encouraging words. Now I request Dr. K. Alivelu madam, the chairperson of this technical session, to speak few words on this occasion.
Respected Vice Principal ma'am, the online and offline participants, I congratulate all of you for making presentations here. To be brief, I think research, we have to start with what, why, and how. Then whatever question we are raising should be feasible. We should be able to answer that question. Once that question is answered, then the next one is why to do this? Is it necessary to take up that research question at all? So why question comes next. For why, we need all the data that is required. If you don't have the data, then we have to leave that question. Or we need to find out the primary sources of data. If secondary data is not available, then go for primary. The next comes how. How to do this research. So that basically talks about the methodology of how to answer the research question that you have started with. Then comes the analysis. Then whatever we are doing, it should be ethical. It should not be repeated. Like what others did, we are not supposed to do. We can follow the same pattern, but then be innovative in your research and look at the quality of research and how ethical we are doing the process. I think with these few words and without wasting much time, we'll start the presentations. Thank you. I thank the Dr. Mallika, and then who was a PhD student, and she was doing excellent in her research work. So I thank her and the management of BGR Government Degree College for giving me this opportunity to be the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I request all the participants to mute their devices except the presenter. Sir, please mute your devices. So we will start with Gaushal ma'am. Are you online?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Should I start? Madam, should I start? Should I start, madam?
Yes, ma'am. Please start, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, Principal Madam, respected dignitaries on and off the dais, dear colleagues, students, respected audience. I'm Dr. Mahua Ghoshal, Associate Professor in Haldia Law College, West Bengal, India. Today, I'm going to share my ideas, thoughts on the new education policy 2020 and overview. Now, the plan of my presentation includes introduction, where I will be highlighting what is education, why education, necessity and importance of education, conceptual frame covering the education system of India from ancient to the modern times, the new education policy features, special features, and including and following with conclusion and references. So, education. What is education? Now, education is a component of development. Education empowers a person through learning process, through which makes him or her acquainted with the social, economic, and political dynamics of the society. Education helps a person to be engaged in meaningful employment. So education is for self-development, understanding of the world around national development. So it is important, it is fundamental to the broader notion of expanded human capabilities. Education empowers mind, and that ultimately creates an equitable, just society. Now, Amartya Sen asserted that education makes a person creative, assertive, helps in reading, communicating, arguing, and to be informed, to be chosen in a more informed way, and to be considered seriously by others. It has a spillover effects on others. See, now I'm talking to you. Now, as an educated person, I'm sharing my thoughts, views. That has a spillover effects on you, all those who are sharing on and off the dais. So education helps, benefits person to take independent decisions, participate actively in the social, economic, and political development of the society. Now, Upanishad have opined, Sa Vidya Ya Vimukta. So education is considered as an important liberating force in society. It is one of the fundamental human rights as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. Now, for Western idealist thinker, Horn, 1942, he was of the opinion that education as the eternal process of adjustment, superior adjustment of the physically and mentally developed, free conscious human being. Now, as I have said that education is a component of development. Education and development is intertwined with supplementary role and dependency upon each other for their progress and growth. It is a cause as well as effect. Now, without education, a person may not have the necessary skill, and it creates a vicious circle. So people are poor because they are illiterate and do not possess any skill. So they have lack access to employment or any other stable economic support. So education is considered as a weapon to improve one's life. It is a continuous process of acquiring knowledge developed by learning. It enables a person to make choices in life, taking part in the decision-making process, understand the hard social realities, impart necessary skills to enter into professional development, and to have a comfortable living. So now coming to the conceptual frame, highlighting briefly about education from the ancient period to the modern times. Now, India had a rich heritage of education with the Gurukula system, where the students used to live with their teacher until and unless he gets the knowledge and philosophy of life. Now, this system discontinued with the invasion of the intruders and British invasion of the intruders, and British being the last. Now, British, they developed their own system of education. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, the British being the last who developed their own system of education to carry out the day-to-day needs of the government. So, this was the system of education, and this was changed after India got independence, after much struggle in 1947.
Yeah.
And after independence, India had to face many developmental issues, many challenges, such as poverty, unemployment, health, and education was also one of the challenge. So mass illiteracy was given priority. And that needed urgent attention. So apart from the constitutional abrogation and the education, emphasis on education that was reflected in the various articles of the Constitution of India. And education was kept under the jurisdiction of both central and state governments, to be equally shared because of the vast magnitude of the problem and vividness of the country. Now, in the line of the first Prime Minister, Pandit Nehru, he appointed a commission, an education commission in 1948, under the chairmanship of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, to suggest policy measures for the improvements in the educational system. So he suggested, he recommended certain measures. And that was in taking care of the future requirements of the country. Now, apart from this, there were various other commissions and committees were constituted in the sphere of improving the education system in the country. To name them, Udalia Commission, 1952, Kotari Commission, 1964, the National Policy on Education, and which was re-examined in 1992, were constituted to formulate a coherent educational policy for India to deal with the emerging challenges of the socio-economic and political requirements of the country. Now, despite, and Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan was also there. So, the initiative was to provide free compulsory education for all the children from 6 to 14 years of age. Now, despite that, there was still gap, and the education in India was at the crossroads. Now, despite the rate of literacy that was increased from 18% from 1952, if I'm not incorrect, to 77%, 77.17, I think, in 2020. But still there exists a gap. And new education policy 2020 assumes a special significance in this backdrop. So the new education policy, and which was the first education policy that has been adapted and that has been drafted in taking into account the socio-cultural, philosophical background and value system of the country. Now, the vision of the new education policy 2020 was to instill
We all have been a part of this online teaching. I do not know how many of you all really enjoyed this online teaching or how successful we were with this online teaching. But a survey shows that this online teaching during the pandemic has failed miserably. That is because there was a lacuna found between the teachers and students in adapting to this new system of blended learning. And moreover, the national education policy, which is emphasizing on student-centric learning, it was also another major thing that we had to keep in mind. After this COVID, when we came back to offline, teaching is no more the same. Educationists have thought that they have to give a real serious
on decent and pleasant learning conditions. Corresponding to the three to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, 14 to 18 years. I haven't completed, madam.
Yeah. So educationists have thought that blended learning should be a part of our education. Now, what is blended learning? Blended learning is nothing but it is a combination of traditional teaching and online teaching, where we are going to combine the best of both the methods, right? So, what we have to do is that if we have to have blended learning and also implement the student-centric approach of new education policy, the only solution that could found was that which can blend both of them is blended learning, where we involve students directly into the teaching learning process. So we had to balance. Now, what we have to do is that we have to balance. For teachers like me, when we had to go online, I was never tech savvy, but I had to learn how to get into the Zoom app and how to prepare my PPTs. So there has to be a balance. And how can we use this blended learning? It is not because I'm only talking about government colleges, because we have limited resources. We cannot opt what is there in the theories, right? But we can take the theory as a model and mold it according to our own situations. So here I would say that it is, I would like to quote that balance is not something you find, but it is something that you create. So here we have done a small research, like we have done it in our classrooms, and we have taken some models and how we can adapt it in our government institution. The first one is face-to-face driver model, in which major part of our teaching will be in the traditional method, where we always give assignments to students that we are going to give it online. Now, how are we going to do? We know that we divide our students with a diagnostic test, where we divide our students as slow learners and fast learners. So we can give the fast learners or above average learners a challenging assignment, whereas for the slow learners, this platform can be used as a remedial session, right? So this is one way. The next model is rotation model. Now, this is one model which we have personally done it in our colleges and we have found it successful. Now, in this rotation model, one part of the instruction is done in the traditional method. One part of the study will be done in a group. One will be done individually and one will be done on the online. I would like to give a small example with how we have done in English. Say I want to teach my students paragraph writing. I would give an instruction, one part of it, where I would teach my students what are the rules, what are the techniques that you have to use to make a paragraph. I would take a paragraph, cut the sentences, jumble and give it to the groups and ask them to frame a meaningful paragraph, which my students will do collaboratively. And from those paragraphs, each group will take some new word that they have learned, and individually they will try to frame their own sentences. And finally, the assignment will be online, where they will write a paragraph. So this is how we can do with the limited resources that we have in the rotation model. So also my botany madam has come up with her own way of how she would make the rotation one. Then we have this flex model. Now this flex model is where most of the learning is done online. Now how we government colleges can do that. Now this can be done where, say now we are going for Jignasa projects where we send our students. Our above average students will do all the research work online and they will try to do their project work and this. And not only that, we can also have some certificate courses online for our students where depending on their capacity for slow learners, supposing I'm an English teacher, for slow learners, I would go for spoken tutorials. For advanced learners, I would go for writing skills. So this is how we would try to experiment this. Then we have this flex model where, you know, the flex model is already we are being implementing it. Now we know that we have become little broader in our aspect where we are also trying to give combinations of groups which are very rare. We don't have teachers for that. For that, we are all, giving them a facility of MOOCs. So this is one sort of blended learning. The 2 subjects will be offline where the student will be attending in the class, and another 1 subject will be online, that is on MOOCs. So we are already doing it. So it's only that we have to understand it more. So this is the beginning for us in government colleges. And the TSKC is another cell that we have. This is a cell where the government has introduced in all government colleges to improve their skills. So we have a tie-up with IIT Mumbai where we can advise our students. Teachers themselves also can have this blended learning through joining in these certificate courses to upgrade ourselves. We can also encourage our students to do this. And then the next one is the flip model, which is a very opt model for us to fit into the new education policy where we are going to involve our students. I think we have also done it partly. Only thing is that we have to know that, yes, this is what is blended learning. During the COVID, when we have put a problem to the government that most of our students are not able to reach us due to internet connectivity, the government has asked us to prepare some videos on the lessons that we are going to teach and upload it on YouTube or WhatsApp groups. So what we are going to do is the main teaching that we are going to do in the classroom, we will prepare a video, put it in our WhatsApp group, ask our students to go through the video and come. And let me tell students, whether it is students or we, when we go through something and come to the classroom, we are taking the student from known to unknown. So it's better to take a student from known to unknown, from unknown to unknown. So we will give them the video and they will listen to the video. They'll come to the classroom. We will involve them in discussion. So this is one model where I think all the government teachers can make the new education policy fit. Then the last one is the self-blend model where we can give certain certificate courses which for slow learners and advanced learners. So in this way, I think with the limited resources that we have, we can do it. So in this paper, I have given a perspective from English. My colleague has given a perspective from her subject, where everybody can take this as a model and we can go for further research on this and also implement it in our colleges. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
First, the chairperson will comment. Next, sir will also.
I think, yeah, that was a very good. That was a very good presentation. Thank you for that. Maybe you can answer it later. One question is that you said that you faced problems when the students came back from the online mode to the offline mode. Like what was the problem like? Was it from the student point of view or was it from the teacher's point of view? You said the sentence that when they came back from online teaching to offline, there was a problem. This is one question. The other question is that you were talking about the slow learners and the fast learners. how do you make the slow learners go into the category of fast learners? Does any mod
The answer to your first question was, ma'am, during the online teaching, my personal experience, I would never understand whether my student is really listening to me or not. And we had some students who were very mischief because they are much tech savvy than us. They were trying to scribble, or sometimes when we ask a question, they are not there. We really don't know whether they're there or not, but they just on that and keep. So maybe that type of attitude, what was there, that they have been sitting at home for such a long time, when they came back to the classroom, they became very restless when we tried to confine them into the classroom. So the discipline part was not there, and students were not, they lost the touch of sitting for such long hours and listening to the teacher. So this was one thing. So we had a great challenge of how to bring them back. And we also know that the government has asked us to go for blended learning. So what are the ways that we can try for? We are still in the process of research where we are trying to look out what are the best ways we can do to bring them to the classrooms and to what we want. And as I said, slow learners and advanced learners. Madam, my aim with my slow learner is, my slow learners are not interested in the class at all. So my first objective will be to see that their interest grows in the classroom, that they want to come back to the classroom to learn something. So if it is English, they are very the very word English, is brings a sort of fear in them. They don't want to speak enough. So I think I would try to give certain videos where what I found during this online was, when the camera is off and I encourage my student to speak because nobody is looking at them, they are speaking. So I thought that I can make these slow learners through this online blended mode, ask them to speak, right? So that a part of this thing will be assigned where I can let them out of their stage fear. So my first target is now to bring them back to the subject where they will start liking the subject. After liking the subject, I think it becomes much easier for me to bring both of them on the same platform. So I'm still on the research mode or trying to do different innovative methodologies to bring my student to that level. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you very much, ma'am.
Andariki namaskaram. I am very sorry for joining very late because one meeting was there in exam branch, and I even missed Mallika's call. But finally, when I came to my chamber, again she made a call. Then I said, I am sorry. Anyhow, before 3:30, I will be there at least for 1 hour. See, the most important point is, I am not a corporate school child. I don't know what type of education was given when I am in my school, in my small village. And also, when we migrated to Hyderabad in 1974, where I tried to pursue my 9th and 10th class in a government city high school in Lad Bazar, in Telugu medium only. And now the question is, the entire attention of the teaching faculty members and students in the last 2 years is diverted towards a new agenda, which was not present during the British period or which was not present during ancient or medieval times, or which was not also present during the period of what we can say post-independent era. But now every college, every IQAC unit in different colleges, including my own college, that is Arts College, where I am myself as IQAC coordinator, we are trying our level best to get some kind of inputs from the different corners of the country, from the teaching faculty and as well as the students community and research scholars. So the question is, I am very sorry, when our generation started our journey into schools, that's what I said. Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. ఈ మూడే మనకు తెలుసు. ఇప్పుడు ఏమైంది? కంప్యూటర్ దేవో భవ, గూగుల్ దేవో భవ, ఇంకా వాట్సాప్ దేవో భవ. అంటే right now in Arts College, in Centenary Hall, more than 380 students are sitting. Outside the room, more than 200 are listening through mic. That is for group 1 or group 2 or sub-inspector's exam. But you know what is the sad picture? Arts College is not established or opened for providing coaching for this type of exams. Morning I was there around 10:10. Only 2 students were there from previous. Final year, no student. So the question is, for what purpose this new education policy or old education policy is introduced and to whom it is exactly going to address? That we are supposed to. భాష ప్రధానము, భావం ప్రధానం. కానీ మన ఈ ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ ఫెసిలిటీ ఇవన్నీ ప్రొవైడ్ చేసినా కూడా విద్యార్థులు లేనటువంటి విద్యాలయాలు ఒక ఆక్సిజన్ లేనటువంటి ప్రపంచం లాగా తయారైంది. This we are supposed to remember. Yesterday, on the occasion of the 105 Foundation Day celebrations in the historic Tagore Auditorium, 3 or 4 gentlemen were speaking about what is the importance of water in the present day society, not only in Telangana or in anywhere. See, the question is, importance of education is realized right from ancient times. Importance of water is also realized by our people. సప్త సంతానాలలో ఒక బాయిని తవ్వించడమో, ఒక పాడుబడ్డటువంటి చెరువును రినోవేషన్ చేయించడమో ఒక పుణ్యకార్యంగా భావించారని మనకు శాస్త్రాలు చెప్తున్నాయి. ఈవెన్ ఈ నాముక్తమాలేద కృష్ణదేవరాయ వెరీ ఓపెన్లీ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్డ్ హిస్ ఒపీనియన్. విద్యాదానం, అన్నదానం, భూదానం, గోదానం, సువర్ణదానం, కన్యాదానం, నీటి దానం. సో ఇవాళ మనం మంచినీళ్ళు తాగిపోయడానికి ఆగ్రా హోటల్ దాటినాక పెట్టిర్రు చలివేంద్రం. ఎవరు స్పాన్సర్ చేశాడో వాని పేరు పేపర్లో ఫోటో ఇనాగ్రేషన్. అంటే మరి విద్యా కేంద్రాలు అంటే దిస్ న్యూ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పాలసీ will not become successful unless until the students should respond. మనం ఎంతో నెత్తి వలగొట్టుకొని మేడం కష్టపడి పేపర్ తయారు చేసుకొచ్చారు, ఆ మేడం మాట్లాడుతూనే ఉన్నారు, నేనేదో ఆగమాగం మర్చిపోయాను, ఉరికొచ్చాను. కానీ అల్టిమేట్ గా స్టూడెంట్స్ షుడ్ స్టే హియర్. ఏదో బోవెడితేనే ఉంటారా? మాట చెప్తున్నాను నేను. మేము బోవెట్టకున్నా కూడా ఉపాసం కూడా చదువుకున్నాం. ఫుల్లా చెప్తున్నా మాట. మీలో కూడా చాలా మంది చెప్పులు లేకుండా స్కూల్
పిల్లలు ఏదైతే అని చెప్పారు కదా, ఏం పట్టించుకోరు అసలు. జీవితం ఏం సంగతి ఏం లేదు. ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు చెప్తే చాలా మంది పోయించారంటే, అదే ఇప్పుడు వీళ్ళు తప్పులేదు, బాగానే రాసిండు, ఎవడో పెళ్లి చేసిండు, ఎవడో పెళ్లి చేసిందంటే పొరపాటు ఎక్కడ జరిగింది సార్?
See, in my opinion, whatever may be the contents which were included in the new education policy by the present elites of this oldest country, the most important point is students must become a part of our education system. Only teachers or our research is not going to produce
Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3, mic check, check.
So the two presentations are over. Suddenly power was off. Sorry for the inconvenience. So who is the next presenter? Alia Begum, ma'am, are you ready? Ma'am. Yeah, Narasimlu sir. Unmute. Alia Begum, ma'am, are you ready? Or Narasimlu sir? Who will be the next presenter, please? వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారా? చెప్పండి. చేసి Dr. P. Satyanarayana, sir. Sir, please present, sir.
Okay, madam, I am ready, madam. I am ready.
Sir, please present, sir.
Okay, ma'am. 1 minute, ma'am.
Sir, Satyanarayana, sir, the time will be 5 minutes, sir, for each presentation. Please give your concluding remarks within 5 minutes. Yes, sir, please. Sir, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Sir,
Okay,
please.
ma'am.
Yeah, 1 second, sir. 1 second. Sir, Professor Anjay, sir, is leaving. So we are honoring him with a bouquet and shawl. I request Vice Principal, ma'am, to present a bouquet and shawl to Professor Anjay, sir.
Next మనం present మీ దాంట్లో present చేస్తా నీకు మీ పేరు దాంట్లో
తెలుసు సార్, క్లారిటీగా రావట్లేదు. ఎస్ సార్, మీ వాయిస్ క్లారిటీ లేదు, కొద్దిగా స్లోగా చెప్పండి సార్. ప్లీజ్ స్టార్ట్ సార్. 1 second సార్. మ్యామ్, ప్లీజ్ ప్రెజెంట్ షాల్ అండ్ బొకేట్ సార్. సార్ మీరు రండి సార్ అందరు. I request Dr. Alivelu madam also to join us. Ma'am, రండి ma'am. History madam, Govind Deshmukh sir, Kaknur sir, Kishan sir, Ramalakshmi madam, please come. The Munisam sir. Govind sir. Photo. Geeta madam. Yeah. Photo. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am, sir. So thank you very much. Yes, sir. Sir, Satyanarayana sir, Dr. P. Satyanarayana sir, please continue, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Okay. It is happy moment to present a topic on this seminar. My topic is New Education Policy 2020, a new vista for education sector in India. Before we discuss this topic.
1 second, sir. Sir, it's not audible. It's not audible, sir, properly, please, sir. Yeah, please.
Okay, before we discuss about this new education policy 2020, implementation of previous policies on education, new education policy 1986 and new education policy 1992 as mainly focused on issues of access and equity with lesser emphasis on quality of education. To carry forward this unfinished agenda of the National Policy Education 1986, and it was modified in 1992 and is appropriately dealt with the new education policy. The new education policy introduced, the new education policy 2020 was introduced after 34 years from the last education policy. It is a major development of since the last education policy of the 1986 and 1992. On 31st July 2020, Union Cabinet gave the approval for the new education, India's new education policy, that is a new education policy 2020. The new education policy 2020 aims to facilitate an inclusive, participatory, and holistic approach. It takes into consideration field experiences, empirical research, stakeholder feedback, as well as the lessons learned from best practices. This policy meant to provide overarching vision, means 360-degree flexibility and a comprehensive framework of both school and higher education across the country. With this new education policy 2020 coming to effect, there is a work to transform education and putting a significant thrust on learning about how to think critically and solve the problems, how to be innovative, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. And it is also include the new curricula, which will include the basic arts, crafts, games, humanities, sports and fitness, language, literature, culture and values, in addition to sciences and capabilities of learners, and make education more effective, useful, well-rounded and fulfilling the learner, and it will be learner-centric policy. And this policy based on following principles like the flexibility, multidisciplinary, no art separation, focus on conceptual understanding, emphasis on creativity, critical thinking, stress on ethics and human values, life skills, regular formative assessment for learning rather than summative assessment, respect of the local context, full equity and inclusion, resource efficiency, light but tight oversight. I mean light but tight oversight, a regulatory system. In the vision of this, all these are including in the new vision of the new education policy 2020. And this mutual entry system is there, multiple entry system is there, multiple exit system is there. And this new education policy aims to building a global based education system which is rooted in India's ethos and aligned with the principles initially above, therefore thereby transforming India into a global knowledge power. Okay, this is my topic, summary of my topic. Thank you for giving opportunity to the organizers and the government, Babu Jagjivaram Government Degree College staff and organizing committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Satyanarayan Garu. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, ma'am.
Who is the next one? Who will be presenting now? Sini.
Am I?
Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, the seminar organizers, for giving me an opportunity to present my ideas on new education policy. Exactly. The topic of my presentation is women's education and political participation in the framework of new education policy. It seems evident that formal education should be strongly associated with political participation for women and for men. The American sociologist Burns Weber assert that on the basis of the decades of research into the factors influencing women and men's engagement with politics, that education is an especially powerful predicator for political participation. Education is also having an influence on women representation too. And when we discuss when we think about the represent field, we can see that with men in this Right to Education Act has, especially in terms of gender, always been pointed out that fundamental right exists till primary schooling years, which is also one of the reason for the children dropping out drastically after finishing the basic level of education. So, therefore, secondary level of education should also be brought under the purview of the right to education as a fundamental right. The new education policy 2020 is much needed change for our education system. The policy not only aims at doing away with the current practice of rote learning, but also promotes holistic development of child, giving the child a balanced exposure to academics, experimenting and learning, as well as co-curricular activities. The policy allows and follows a developmental psychology perspective, which means introduction of certain concepts at a certain age will entail a better reciprocity and understanding from the child. It is based on the principles of equity, access, equality, and affordability. The aim of new policy is to put India at par with leading education systems across the world. And coming to the aspect of the new education policy, I feel it will bring more inclusivity, especially for the girl child. Most importantly, it will help in debunking the prevalent gender stereotypes in society. For instance, the policy lays down that skills coding will be taught from the early stages itself. Although it may seem like a normal course to many, it has always been considered as a manly profession. By including it in the curriculum, girls will also be encouraged to take it up. There is a wide scope for introduction of the concepts like gender at very young age itself. Because in the policy, there is a mention of the trained volunteers from the different social backgrounds and parts of society. Moreover, I feel the policy focuses more on girl child by considering the dropout rates of girls from the schools in India. It aims to provide more support and comfort to girl children. The state of post-pandemic education is a question of the near future. And however, the pandemic has shown its effect on the gender differences. My conclusion is that even though if we look at the political field, there is having a less representation and participation from the part of women. And as the education is also having a great part in the political participation of the women, the new education policy of 2020 is giving a hope that in future this will make a great hope or expectation in the field of the political participation of women. Thank you.
Yeah. Sini, thank you for that presentation. I think you have rightly concluded saying that women's education is important for political participation. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank next, who is ready? Next. Mr. Narsimulu, Dr. Ramakrishna, Ms. Sunita, who is ready for the next presentation? Mr. Narsimulu, are you there online? Sunita. Seniors. Mr. Narsimlu? Naik, are you ready? Naik, please unmute yourself. Sunita, are you there? Dr. Ramakrishna, Narsimlu, Mr. Nayak? Yeah. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Narsimlu.
Madam, Nayak Naresh, madam. Naresh.
I think you.
Naresh, madam. I speak. Madam.
Morning, अरे माने से
282 వస్తుంది అక్కడ 282 లాస్ట్ మంత్.
Yeah, Mr. Nathan. Please unmute yourself and you can start presenting.
అన్మ్యూట్ చేసింది సార్, కొద్దిగా ఇది సార్ అదేరా సార్. గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్.
నమస్కారం అండి. బెగన్పేట ఎంఎస్ కాలేజ్ యొక్క లెక్చరర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అయితే మాట్లాడుతున్నట్టు డాక్టర్ సత్యనారాయణ. సమర్థ మా కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్.
గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్.
ఇంకా రాలేదు, వస్తాయి. మా స్టూడెంట్ అబ్బాయి, మా స్టూడెంట్ విద్యార్థి.
ఆయనకు డిస్టర్బ్ అవుతుంది, చెప్పడానికి వస్తలేదు. అక్కడ ఎవరు నరసింహ అంట.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the organizers of the seminar, Principal Madam, and respected convener of the New Education Policy seminar convener. So, my topic is on. My name is Dr. G. Narasimlo, Assistant Professor of Public Administration. My topic is on NEP, equity and inclusiveness of higher education. Education is the most important and social economic development of the is tool of the social economic development of the society. Not only for gaining knowledge, it has to make flourish the human civilization. We are working for a modern democracy built on the values of human dignity and equality. which is the definition given by Dr. Sarvepal Radhakrishnan, which gives importance on education policy of the government. So new education policy, which was announced after 36 years of after completing the earlier education policy in 1986. This policy is a comprehensive framework of elementary from elementary education to higher education, as well as vocational training. This is the innovative tool in new education policy, vocational training, not for only urban India, but it is meant for rural India also. So the policy aims to transform India's education system by 2040 to become a Vishwaguru, like that. My main emphasis on the what is the higher education system in the new education policy, because it is a under concurrent list. Both central and state government can make that, but central government made a great effort to make a uniformity in national education system. Main aim is multiple entry in the higher education and exit also there in this new education policy. That is the graduation divided into 4 years. For 1 year certificate course and 2 year diploma course. Bachelor's degrees we are having at present 3 years program continued. In addition to this, 4 year multidisciplinary bachelor degree also will introduce. This is the new one in the new economic national education policy. But one thing is MPhil degree is abolished. The Higher Education Commission of India will be set up to regulate higher education system in India. It has been divided into 4 vertical institutions: National Higher Education Regulatory Council, National Accreditation Council, second one, and Higher Education Grants Council, third one, which has to fund the universities and colleges, and General Education Council, which has to frame graduates' attributes, namely the learning outcomes expected, and it also being responsible for framing a higher education qualification framework, and that is the main 4th General Education Council. Then other parameter of the new national education policy is that what is the professional standard setting boards also being set up on par with this, and to conduct the national level examinations, not only present a JEE and NEET exam, other central universities common entrance examinations and some competitive exams will be conducted through the national testing agency, which has been going on last year onwards. The policy proposes higher education institutes like IITs to make changes with regard to the diversity of learning. The policy also invite the national IITs to establish their branches in the foreign countries, overseas countries, and as well as foreign universities also to set up their branches in India. Though it was made attempt in 2012, but it has failed to start its foreign education in India branches. The NEP education focuses on 5 pillars: affordability, accessibility, quality, equity, and accountability. To ensure continual learning, it has been crafted consistent with the needs of citizens as well as students. So my main aim is how to transform the education system to the socially backward people, socially disadvantaged sections of the society, how they have to be access that type of education, what are the parameters government set up, that I want to highlight in this my research topic. Then NEP providing quality education, creating lifelong learning opportunities for all, leading to full and productive employment, decent work, which was entitled in United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. This National Education Policy of India, which was built on the values of human dignity and equality. So this type of education policy, how it has to transform disadvantaged and socially disadvantaged people and rural areas, how they have been benefited with this education system. I want to make a presentation on this topic. So in after whatever new education policy formulated, it has to take up to 2040. Slowly several steps have been taken to start the education policy achievements in the Indian education system. And gross enrollment ratio also should be improved from 26.3% to 2040 50%. That is the main of the new education policy. Is it made the what is the investment GDP? State and central governments, they have to invest at least 6%. Next, sir. Next. At least 6%. Not only government, with private sector, they have to invest 6% of GDP on education system. It makes to realize the dreams of the new education policy. This I want to say. And the new education policy also made some clues regarding the what is called rural areas and tribal areas, how they have to be reached to the people who are far away to the mainstream of the education system, which is located in thank you for giving this opportunity to all the organizers.
Excellent presentation. Wonderful presentation.
Madam, thank you, madam.
Somebody చెప్తారు సమ్మరి చెప్తారు ఎవరైనా చెప్తారు
అదే
So then I'm going to do
Hello. Sir, I am audible. Hello. Shall I continue, sir? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. I am Dr. Zahida, Assistant Professor of Political Science, Government Degree College, Hayat Nagar. First of all, let me thank organizers for giving me this opportunity. My talk is particularly relevant about global education, and I am going to take a look at the recent developments in internationalization. So, internationalization of higher education is not new. Many of the earliest scholars traveled widely in Europe. But in the early modern era, the focus on national development and internationalization became marginalized. Nonetheless, initiatives such as the Fulbright Scholars Program in the US and the Erasmus Mundus program in Europe have aimed to promote mutual understanding and encourage collaborations among higher education institutions. So today, however, the accelerating rate of globalization has focused attention once again on student mobility, international research, collaboration, and education as an export industry. In today's age of global knowledge and technology, an interconnected network and global awareness are increasingly viewed as major and sought after assets. With the current labor market requiring graduates to have international, foreign language, and intercultural skills to be able to interact in a global setting, institutions are placing more importance on internationalization. The number of students enrolled in higher education outside their country of citizenship practically doubled, which example from 2000 to 2010, and this trend is likely to continue. However, student mobility is simply the most visible part of a greater topic, namely internationalization, which is more complex and multifaceted. One aspect, sometimes referred to as internationalization at home, consists of incorporating intercultural and international dimensions into the curriculum, teaching, research, and extracurricular activities, and hence helps students develop international and intercultural skills without ever leaving their country. So, other fast-growing forms of internationalization are emerging. Example, transnational education, sometimes delivered through offshore campuses, joint programs, distance learning, etc., and suggest a more far-reaching approach, especially where higher education is now seen as an integral part of global knowledge economy. Globalization has major implications for the higher education sector, notably on the physical and virtual mobility of students and faculty, information and knowledge, virtual access, and sharing the policies and practices. In many countries, as the size of the age of 18 to 25-year-old age group declines, some of these countries are facing a decrease in domestic enrollments, and attracting foreign students is increasingly seen as a way to compensate. Today, internationalization functions as a two-way street. It can help students achieve their goals to obtain a quality education and pursue research. It gives students an opportunity for real world and real time experiential learning in areas that cannot simply be taught. institutions, on other hand, may gain a worldwide reputation as well as a foothold in the international higher education community. So the top 5 reasons for internalization in institutions are: in order to importance to improve student preparedness, internationalize the curriculum, enhance the international profile of the institution, and strengthen research and knowledge production, and diversify its faculty and staff. So I'm focused on the last but not least the conclusion part because of time consuming. The impact of international university rankings, other things also can implement in this era. Since higher education institutions are the essential actors in creating well-balanced and constructive internalization strategies, they must advocate for policy change at the governmental level if the policies are driving internalization in directions that might not serve long-term academic purposes. In this regard, the most important and ongoing task for all higher education stakeholders remains the continuous examination and evaluation of the effects of internalization. It includes examining the impact of more internationally open program, classroom, and institution on students and effects on creation of new knowledge influenced by exposure to scholars and researchers from other parts of the world. For environment which is favorable to the development of the international process by all means. In assessing the impact that graduate from these institutes going to have on the society or community in which they live is also the duty of all higher education Any inputs or questions, ma'am? Shall I?
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
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 Hello. Madam, Mridula madam sir, present chestanu. Madam, we are waiting for you, please. Mridula madam.
Hello? Hello? Mridula madam, are you ready to present the paper, madam? నేను జాయిన్ అయినది మీ బెంగాల్ ఓకే సో అట్లా కాదు మృదులా మేడం అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి.
Good evening to all the dignitaries and to the seminar officials and the college dignitaries and to Ms. Swami sir. Sir, very good evening to you. My name is Nita Puranam. I am lecturer in commerce from Andhra Mahila Sabha, University of College of Arts and Science for Women. Today I would like to present about the undergraduate national education policy, that in specific to the undergraduate research, which is the skill of the student. So that is my topic for today, sir. For today's seminar, I would like to highlight the important points that I have made a research about. The first thing, sir, education is the fundamental for achieving the full human potential and developing an equitable, non-just society, thereby promoting national development and others. The new education policy was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on July 28, 2020. And this has brought in phenomenal changes in the country's education system. Even though it was introduced in July 2020, there have been a lagging back by 2 years, predominantly due to the pandemic, wherein the schools were the primary hotspots that were being closed for 2 years continuously, and students have been limited to the online classes and online teaching. So now with this 2021, once this is being the schools and the colleges being restarted, our hoping that the new education policy will be implemented in a structured manner throughout the country. Now, coming to the topic, that is undergraduate education. Sir, research in the undergraduate education is not very popular among the Indian diaspora. However, this has been very popular in American and USA. The study of this, the research, when we talk about the word research, we immediately connect ourselves with the PhD scholars and PhD research scholars in both science as well as the art streams, wherein which the statistics of 2018 suggest that there are 24,000 doctorates in all the disciplines, and where compared to, there were only few when it compared to the only few in 1980s. However, despite India having this many doctorates, the research ecosystem is not as conceived to be as it is, mainly due to the research. Whenever the topic research comes, it is mainly being given to the science streams or to the medical streams or to the engineering streams, or more predominantly the research is being, social science research is being taken up by the research scholars in PhD. However, inculcating research in the undergraduate curriculum is the most unique and innovative way to empower the student with all the abilities to take a topic, fall in love with the subject, and then deep dive into this subject, like to understand the enough an ability to research and make their way of understanding of the subject. All these things are being seen in the undergraduate research. The undergraduate research is now being imparted in all the colleges, wherein which the final year students are being given with a guide or a mentor and given a time of 1 to 2 months to finish their projects. Many of the students are being taking up the internship, many companies, wherein which they get the opportunity to have an hands-on experience or real-time experience on the field or the chosen area where they are aspiring to build their careers upon. So when we are looking at this particular in undergraduate research, we should favorably perceive this undergraduate research as a new skill that the student is being equipped with, and this actually boosts confidence in the student. And coming to the methodology and the impact of the undergraduate students, the science students have a lab for the purpose of experimentation and knowledge. However, the social sciences streams need to get into the organizations to work. So the benefits of the undergraduate research are exploration of knowledge and information, also exposes them to the other important and associated aspects of the research topic. The confidence level of the students pursuing research gives them a macro view of the subject altogether. It helps the students to overcome their shortcomings in the knowledge, and it provides an opportunity to work in companies even before completion of their graduation, develops leadership skills and problem solving skills. And in order to equip or associate, in order to assist the students or to encourage the research in India, Ministry of Human Resources Department has taken many initiatives in regarding to improving the research ecosystem in India. The first foremost thing in such thing is imprint. There are many such kind of programs being originated from the Ministry of Human Resources Department. First one in that is imprint, that is impacting research, innovation and technology. This was launched on November 5th, 2015 at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And it is a multi-staker mission program aimed at bridging the gap between scientific knowledge base created through the fundamental and applied research and fruitful translation of the same through engineering invention and technological invention for the betterment of society. In short, we can speak that it is more to encourage the students to take up these startups in an innovative way. Then next one we have UAY, that is Uchchatar Avishkar Yojana, that is to promote innovation of a higher order that directly impacts the needs of the industry or industries and thereby improves the competitive edge of the Indian manufacturing and design industry. Then there have been research parks that are being set up in the premier technological industry institutes of India, that is IIT Guwahati, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, Kharagpur, Bombay, and IIT Hyderabad and IISc. So these research parks act as an R&D center and to work for the provide the required research assistance to the students wherever they have come up with. Next, FAST, that is Training and Research in Frontier Areas. 36 centers of excellence have been set up under FAST scheme, which focuses on frontier research topics. Next, we have Spark scheme, that is Scheme for Promotion of Academic and Research Collaboration, which works within research collaboration with foreign universities in top 500 QS 2020 world ranking universities together. Next, NIDA is purely for the purpose of innovation in the designs. India have long been lagging behind in the design area. For the case of this, we always admire about the Italian design or a design that has been formulated in foreign countries. However, to overcome these shortcomings, this NIDA has been set up. Impress. Impactfully policy research in social sciences. So whenever such...
Mrudula, can
Yes,
you
please.
conclude?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So in this suggestions, I would like to offer some suggestions to improve the research ecosystem. The undergraduate research ecosystem can further be improved by introducing processes to help students develop scientific thinking in addition to learning hands-on research skills and allowing students to perform short-term research projects in collaboration with basic research institutes or universities to probe the concepts in detail and integrate the research projects at an earlier stage in the curriculum. Currently, they are being offered at the third year of their graduation for those who are taking up their graduation in the universities. I would like to request to introduce them in the second year itself, wherein which they won't be burdened with the final year semester studies along with this research projects, and then connecting of the undergraduate students to the local research ecosystem and creating the scope for the research opportunities should be taken up.
Mrudula?
Yes,
Mrudula,
ma'am.
I think, yes. Just 1 minute, you can wind off. Yeah, Mrudula? She's not there. Yeah, she is. Anyone else is ready? Yeah, Mrudula? Mrudula, can you hear me? Mrudula is there. Mrudula? She's there, but she cannot hear. Yeah, please unmute.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, I think, yeah, this was a good presentation, but one question is that maybe you can dwell upon it later on. You are talking from the demand side, right? You're talking from the student point of view.
Okay.
What kind of skills are required for research? But from the
Yes.
supply side, you yourself being a teacher,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
is required? What is required on the part of the teacher to impart this research skills into the students? I think this you can think over, and then when you write this as a paper, let it be from both the sides. What should the teacher do and what the student should do to inculcate this research aspect in them?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I personally feel that the introduction of research should be maybe it can be started up with minute projects like making the person understand the nearby shop walas business models, to start with, whenever whenever we are teaching the commerce, as I'm a commerce lecturer, madam, I would like to say that if in case I am teaching about the sole proprietorship, I would like to ask my students to make a note of the operations of the Kirana Wala to start with. So it doesn't, it should actually mean the project should be part of each sem, or most probably at the end of the each year, wherein which the student, I personally observe that in this today's world of grades and marks, they're actually back of the textbooks and making a note of the guides and preparing notes or listening to the YouTube videos in order to write the problem well or to make the answer appear good. However, the real hands-on experience, when I highly appreciate this new education policy's recommendation of research for the undergraduate students, which is being included in the final year for the Usmania University students. But I recommend that this should be it should be made from the first year itself. Minute projects will go in a long way to help the students and also the lecturers. In fact, science, we need not mention specifically, madam, because there are laboratories and also the.
Thank you, Mrudula.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. A well-honored privilege for me to attend this seminar, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, anyone else? Any other presentations?
So with this, we conclude the technical session for today. Again, tomorrow morning, we will come back, and I express my gratitude to Dr. K. Alivelu, Madam, Dean, Division of Graduate Studies, Center for Economic and Social Studies, for sparing her valuable time and for her patient listening. Sorry, ma'am, for the technical glitches. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable time and valuable suggestions. Thank you very much, ma'am. So tomorrow morning, we will come back again. Time, schedule, everything we will post in the WhatsApp group. Now it's a time to felicitate our chairperson of the technical session. I request our vice principal, madam. I request our academic coordinator, sir. Dr. Satyanarayan Reddy, sir. Sir, Randy, sir. I request Shanti, madam, Govind, sir. Geeta Shri Madam, Organizing Secretary, and Dr. D. Muniswamy, sir, to felicitate the chairperson of the technical session, Dr. K. Alivelu, Madam.